Willow trees. Water often washes soil away or makes it so wet that most plants cannot grow. Trees such as the willow, however, thrive in damp soil. They are often found on the banks of streams and lakes. A willow tree has long roots that grow deep into the moist soil. These roots carry to the tree the water it needs to grow. The roots also help strengthen the land the tree grows on so that the soil doesn't wash away into the water. The weeping willow, shown here, is a common sight along the banks of rivers, streams, and lakes.
Willows, along with trees like birches and alders, are important because they grow quickly and soak up water, which causes the soil to dry. Within a few years, other plants are also able to grow near the water. Evolution. The word evolution means unfolding. It is used to describe the way all living things change with time, or evolve. Evolution happens so slowly we usually can't see its effects. Scientists study evolution by comparing life forms over time.
Both the Earth and the things that live on it have changed over billions of years. Pictured here are Hyracotherium, a horse-like animal that lived 60 million years ago, and a modern horse. Horses and all other animals and plants are still changing.
Evolutionary tree. Scientists believe that all living things are related and that they have evolved from the same ancestors over millions of years. The chart shown here is called an evolutionary tree. It has lines between the main groups of animals and plants alive today, showing which ones are closely related.
Covering the Earth. What would happen if all plants and animals ate the same food? There wouldn't be enough food to go around, right? Instead, living things have evolved into many species, or kinds, that like to eat all sorts of things.
Honeycreeper is the common name for several kinds of tropical birds. The first Hawaiian honeycreeper flew to the Hawaiian Islands probably 5 million years ago. Since then, new species of honeycreepers have evolved there. Each has a different kind of beak, good for eating a certain kind of food. Since all the birds do not compete for food, there's more for everyone. The apapani's beak is shaped for eating many kinds of food. The Akiapula'au searches for insects with its upper bill. The iiwi's beak and tube-shaped tongue are good for sipping nectar.
The Maui parrotbill uses its lower bill to chisel wood and looks for insects there.
The Kona finch has a strong bill for crushing seeds. The Kauai akiloa has a long beak that helps it search for insects. Honeycreeper is the...
Living things change so they can use everything in their habitat. Australia's mammals are marsupials, but they live much like mammals in the rest of the world do. Some burrow like rodents, some eat ants like anteaters, some hunt like cats, and some live in the trees and eat leaves like monkeys. Since they didn't have to compete with other mammals, all of these marsupials were able to evolve and survive.
Natural selection. Scientists have many theories about evolution. One theory says that plants and animals evolve through a process called natural selection. Here's how natural selection might work in a population of rabbits.
More rabbits are born than can survive. There isn't enough food or space on the earth to support them all.
No two rabbits are exactly alike. They all have different sizes, shapes, colors, and other traits. These differences, may mean that one rabbit has a better chance of surviving than another. For example, a brown rabbit blends in with its surroundings better than a purple and yellow polka-dotted rabbit does. Predators are less likely to see the brown rabbit. Brown fur is an adaptation, a characteristic that helps the rabbit survive. The rabbits that live long enough to breed may pass on their adaptations to their young, giving them a better chance of survival. Over many generations, the rabbits that are well-adapted survive, and those that are less well-adapted die out. This is called natural selection. The Earth and evolution. The Earth itself has a part in evolution. Its surface changes slowly over time, making mountains higher, oceans deeper, and canyons wider. When the Earth changes, groups of plants and animals become separated. Over time, they may become completely different species.
A population is a group of animals that lives in a specific area. Members of a population belong to the same species, so they can mate and produce young together. When geographical barriers like mountains and canyons form, a population often gets split into two groups, one on each side of the barrier.
The two groups began to change through natural selection. After many generations, the groups are so different that even if they come in contact with each other again, if the barrier disappears or they find a way around it, they can't produce young together. They have become different species. Natural selection. The rabbits that live long enough to breed may pass on their adaptations to their young, giving them a better chance of survival. Over many generations, the rabbits that are well-adapted survive, and those that are less well-adapted die out. This is called natural selection. No two rabbits are exactly alike. They all have different sizes, shapes, colors, and other traits. These variations, differences, may mean that one rabbit has a better chance of surviving than another. For example, a brown rabbit blends in with its surroundings better than a purple and yellow polka-dotted rabbit does. Predators are less likely to see the brown rabbit. Brown fur is an adaptation, a characteristic that helps the rabbit survive. Convergent evolution. Living things that are not related sometimes develop similar body parts. Both birds and bats, for example, have wings. This process, called convergent evolution, usually happens when plants or animals live in the same kind of environment.
All of these animals have different skeletons, but they all have evolved the same kinds of limbs and the same streamlined body shape, which help them move speedily through water.
The ichthyosaur is an extinct reptile. Its front limb was shaped like a paddle and had many small bones. The ichthyosaur
The dolphin is a mammal. Its paddle has the typical bones of the mammal arm and hand.
The penguin is a bird that cannot fly. Its paddle has the typical bones of a bird's wing.
Evidence for evolution. Fossils, the remains or imprints of animals and plants preserved in rock, provide evidence for evolution. They show how animals and plants have changed gradually through time. As we find more fossils, the relationships between various kinds of animals and plants become clearer.
We can tell when these elephants lived by figuring out the age of their fossilized bones. Scientists cannot be certain that the first type of elephant gradually evolved into the next, but it is unlikely that each elephant appeared completely separately from the others. It is much more likely that these elephants were related.
The African elephant is alive today. Meenotherium lived about 38 million years ago.
The woolly mammoth lived about 2 million years ago.
Platybelodon lived from 12 to 7 million years ago. Trilophodon lived from 26 to 3 million years ago.
Charles Darwin. The theory of evolution is based on the ideas of English scientist Charles Darwin. In 1831, Darwin sailed around the world and studied plants, animals, and rocks. On his trip, he began to wonder if some of the animals he saw had the same ancestors.
Darwin explained his ideas in a book called On the Origin of Species, published in 1859. This cartoon shows that people laughed at Darwin's idea that humans were related to apes.
Although Darwin gets credit for the theory of evolution, he wasn't the only one to think of it. Alfred Wallace, another English scientist, put forth a very similar theory just before Darwin's book was published.
Endangered species. When a whole species of plant or animal dies out, we say that it's extinct. Millions of plants and animals have become extinct since the Earth formed, often because of changes in the climate. Today, however, humans are the biggest reason that this is happening.
This graph shows that more and more animals are becoming extinct every year. If the number of extinctions continues to grow in the same way, 50,000 species may die out each year by the year 2000. The graph also shows some animals that have died out and some that are endangered, in danger of extinction.
Extinction is a natural process. Plants and animals become extinct when they can no longer survive in their surroundings. Woolly mammoths, for example, died out when the Earth warmed up at the end of the last ice age. These plants and animals are eventually replaced by others.
Habitat destruction. Today, thousands of plants and animals are endangered because people destroy the places they live. The environment changes so much that these plants and animals cannot survive. There may be only 100 pygmy hogs left on Earth because people have taken over their grassland home in the hills of northeast India. Some other grassland animals in danger are the pampas deer of South America and the white-throated wallabies of Australia.
Many kinds of animals live and breed in marshes, swamps, estuaries, and other wetlands. Yet people have ruined these areas by draining and filling them to create building sites or dumping wastes in them. The Everglade kite, shown here, is endangered because the snails it eats have disappeared with its marshy home.
Tropical rainforests have more kinds of wildlife than anywhere else, including many kinds that have not yet been discovered. Because people are destroying rainforests for timber and farmland, we may never know what they hold. Tropical
Hunting and poaching. Many animals are endangered because people hunt them. People hunt some animals because they're a nuisance. They hunt others for their meat, hides, horns, and fur.
The snow leopard lives high in the Himalayas. Thick and warm, its beautiful fur coat was once prized by fur traders. Today, this big cat is protected by law to save it from being hunted to extinction.
Many alligators and crocodiles, such as this Siamese crocodile, are endangered. People once killed them in large numbers to make bags, shoes, and belts from their skins. Now there are laws to help protect these reptiles, but some illegal hunting still goes on. Collectors. Some people collect plants and animals that are very rare or beautiful. Collecting too many of these plants and animals means that there are not very many left in the wild.
Many orchids are endangered because collectors dig them up from the wild. Drury's slipper orchid from India has almost disappeared from its natural region and may soon be extinct. Exotic spiders like this red-kneed tarantula are popular pets. So many have been captured that few of these spiders are left in their natural habitat in Mexico. Pollution. Pollution is a serious danger to plants and animals. It damages many oceans, rivers, and forests, as well as the air and water that all plants and animals need to survive. This danger is especially large because if pollution harms one type of plant or animal, others may die from eating the polluted ones.
The black-footed or jackass penguin is a flightless seabird from South Africa. It is threatened by water pollution and by fishing boats, which catch the fish the penguin eats.
Amphibians such as the spade-foot toad are easily harmed by pollution. Their moist skin allows harmful chemicals from polluted air and water to enter their bodies.
Many kinds of bats, including the American gray bat shown here, are endangered because people put insecticides on the food that the bats eat.
People drill for oil and ship it all over the world, and oil spills are causing more and more water pollution. Even small oil spills spread quickly across the surface of the water, killing birds, fish, and sea animals. Oil drilling also damages coral reefs and is a source of unnatural noise and heat, which can disturb plant and animal life.
Too much competition. People visiting new areas sometimes bring new kinds of plants and animals with them. Some of these species may adapt so well to the new area that the native species cannot compete with them. Other new species may carry diseases that kill the native species. The dodo was a flightless bird that lived on the island of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean. It died out about 1690, less than 100 years after Dutch settlers arrived. The settlers hunted the birds for food. Hogs and monkeys brought to the island by the settlers crushed the birds' eggs and ate their young.
Some animals, such as the monk seal, cannot mate if they are disturbed. As the number of people on Earth grows, it gets harder for monk seals to find a private spot along the sea coast. Nature reserves allow the monk seals to mate without disturbance.
Collectors. Some people collect plants and animals that are very rare.
Hunt.
Too much competition. People visiting new areas sometimes bring new kinds of plants and animals with them. Some of these species may adapt so well to the new area that the native species cannot compete with them. Other new species may carry diseases that kill the native species. The dodo was a flightless bird that lived on the island of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean. It died out about 1690, less than 100 years after Dutch settlers arrived. The settlers hunted the birds for food. Hogs and monkeys brought to the island by the settlers crushed the birds' eggs and ate their young.
Some animals, such as the monk seal, cannot mate if they are disturbed. As the number of people on Earth grows, it gets harder for monk seals to find a private spot along the sea coast. Nature reserves allow the monk seals to mate without disturbance. Conservation. People are more aware of threats to wildlife than ever before. Many groups work to protect endangered creatures by setting aside areas in the wild where animals and plants can live safely. This is called conservation. California condor. In this picture, a researcher uses a hand puppet to feed a condor chick. The California condor was almost extinct a few years ago. Conservation groups worked with the United States government to capture the remaining California condors and help them reproduce. This is called captive breeding. Recently, young condors were put back in the wild.
One way that people help protect endangered species is by making it illegal to harm them. The Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, CITES, keeps lists of hundreds of species of plants and animals. Selling or exporting these species or products made from them is illegal without a special license. In this photo, officials from the Wildlife Department in Zambia burn rhino horns that were seized from poachers.
Many people help save endangered species simply by protesting activities that might be harmful to wildlife.
Freshwater plants. Only 3% of the water on Earth is freshwater, and most of that is frozen in glaciers. The rest flows down rivers and collects in lakes and ponds. In fast-flowing rivers and streams, few plants can stay attached to the land and survive. In ponds, lakes, and slow-moving streams, however, the water is full of plant life.
So many plants grow in, on, and around a lake that it may be hard to tell where the land ends and the lake begins. Underwater, the plants fill up space as they reach for the sunlight. Sometimes only the deep center of the lake is plant-free.
From the bottom up, many freshwater plants anchor themselves to the ground underwater. They grow where the water is warm and shallow, in ponds, slow-moving rivers and streams, and at the edges of lakes.
Cattails are named for the brown, velvety fruit they produce. Some cattails can grow to be 18 feet, 5 meters tall. Cattails and other plants provide hidden, hard-to-reach nesting areas for many birds.
A lily pad may seem to be floating, but it's actually anchored by a stalk. The lily pad is a single leaf of the water lily plant. It often has spines on the bottom which help prevent it from being eaten. Water lilies also have flowers. Tiny white flowers on the surface of the water may come from a plant called Ilodia. Ilodia grows underwater and sends its flowers up to the surface on very long, thread-like stems. In order for the plant to produce seeds, its flowers must be pollinated by insects or the wind.
Pondweeds often grow thick in freshwater lakes and ponds. They provide food for many animals, but they can also choke other plants.
Floaters. Some freshwater plants can survive without roots. These plants float on the top of the water. They take in plenty of moisture while they absorb the sunlight. You need a microscope to see some of the plants that live in ponds and lakes. These plants, called phytoplankton, float just below the surface of the water. They provide food for tadpoles and other animals. Land plants have roots that get minerals from the ground, but the floating bladderwort gets minerals by eating insects. Bladderworts have small bladders that spring open and suck in any tiny insect or animal that gets close.
The world's smallest known flowering plants, the tiny duckweed, float on the surface of still fresh water. They grow very quickly and can spread all over a lake like a green blanket. Many small animals eat duckweed. People use this plant to filter wastewater.
Algae. Of all the things that grow in fresh water, algae is the most long-lasting. Algae isn't a plant, but it grows in almost any moist area, including on plants, walls, rocks, damp soil, hot springs, and even in snow.
Unlike many freshwater plants, algae can grow in flowing as well as standing water. The algae attaches itself securely to rocks and logs so it can even withstand the pull of waterfalls. Floating types of algae live in lakes and ponds.
The growth of freshwater algae depends on several things in the environment. These include light, temperature, and the chemicals and minerals in the water.
Control. Freshwater plants grow so well that they can become a problem for people. If plants grow too close together, they make it impossible to swim or boat in a lake. They begin to trap silt around their roots, and the lake slowly turns into land. Also, plants attract insects. People sometimes use chemicals called herbicides to kill plant pests. Herbicides can be sprayed on a lake or dumped into the water. Click on the pictures to learn about some other ways to control plant growth.
Hippos, manatees, moose, fish, snails, insects, and even other plants naturally control freshwater plants. They eat, kill, or crowd out problem plants. People use a large floating mower to cut pesky plants and dump them onto a boat, much like they use a lawnmower to cut grass and collect it in a bag.
Otters. Otters are experts at playing. Even the adults gallop and leap into the air. In the winter, they slide down slippery slopes and across frozen lakes on their bellies. Not all of this is play, however. For an otter, sliding is much faster than walking.
Otter parts. Otters are small mammals that belong to the weasel family. Unlike other types of weasels, the otter spends much of its life in the water.
When an otter dives, its heart slows down so that it doesn't use as much oxygen. The longest dive recorded for an otter is 4.5 minutes. However, most dives are between 50 and 90 seconds.
An otter has 2 layers of thick fur that keep it warm and dry. One layer is long and protects the short underfur. The underfur traps a pocket of air next to the otter's skin. The trapped air keeps the otter warm and dry.
An otter's ears are small, but otters can still hear well. The ear canals and nostrils seal tightly to keep water out when the animal dives.
As long as there is light, otters see well both above and below water. When the water is dark or muddy, otters use their other senses to help them find food.
Otters have special whiskers above their lips that feel water's current and pressure. They can use these whiskers to find fish when they can't see.
The otter has a long, slender body and short legs. On land, it looks humpbacked as it walks. In water, its torpedo-shaped body moves quickly.
Otters have very sensitive hands. They use them to find food, even in the dark.
Otters steer with their back paws. These 2 paws are webbed, so they make good paddles.
River otters. Only a few types of otters have been studied by scientists, and these few are divided into 2 main groups, river otters and sea otters. River otters usually live near rivers that have lots of fish and plants, but they may also live in freshwater marshes and lakes.
River otters don't need help catching food, so they usually live alone. Their favorite food is fish, but they also eat frogs, crayfish, and other water animals. River otters drag large prey onto the riverbank to eat.
River otters rest and raise young in dens around the riverbank. Female river otters have 1 to 5 young at a time. The young, called pups, are helpless when they are born and stay with the mother for an entire year. The father usually doesn't help the mother raise the pups. Sea otters. Sea otters are much like river otters, except that they live in the large, cold oceans. They spend their whole life in the water.
Sea otters rest while floating on their backs. They like to twist themselves in seaweed so they don't drift away while sleeping. Up to 2,000 sea otters can be found together in some of the best resting and feeding places.
Sea otters can use rocks to crack open clams and crabs. They float on their backs while they pound away.
A female sea otter has only 1 pup every 2 years. The pup stays with its mother. It sleeps on her belly, and she holds it while she swims.
Otters and people. 1 of every 10 sea otters is killed by a great white shark, but the otter's worst enemies are people. Otters are injured by boat motors, drowned in nets and oil, and caught and killed for their fur. Some otters are being protected, but many are still endangered.
Oil makes the hairs of an otter's fur stick together and prevents them from trapping air to keep warm. Without their air jackets, otters freeze to death.
People have hunted otters almost to extinction for their fur. Otter fur is very durable, and many people think it is one of the most beautiful furs in the world.
Ducks, geese, and swans. Ducks, geese, and swans are called waterfowl. They live on the lakes and rivers of the world. Swans are the largest waterfowl. Ducks are the smallest. Swans are the heaviest flying birds. A male trumpeter swan weighs about 28 pounds, 12.7 kilograms.
To reach takeoff speed, the swan has to run over the water. The swan has to flap its wings hard.
Large, powerful wings lift the swan into the air. During flight, the feet tuck under the body. For landing, the feet are used as brakes. The feet serve as paddles for swimming.
Legs, neck, feet, and feathers. The bodies of ducks, geese, and swans are specialized for life on the water. Ducks and swans have short legs set far back on their bodies. This arrangement works well for swimming, but it makes walking awkward. A goose's legs are more centrally located.
If you have ever gone swimming with rubber flippers on your feet, you know that a wide, flat foot helps you make powerful kicks that push you through the water quickly. Have you ever tried to walk wearing flippers?
Many waterfowl have long, flexible necks that enable them to reach into the water for food. Swans have more neck bones than any other animal. They can find food deeper in the water than ducks.
Waterfowl spend much of their time preening and spreading oils over their feathers with their beaks. The oils, made in a gland just above the tail feathers, keep the feathers waterproof and help keep the bird warm.
Ducks. Ducks belong to 8 tribes or groups. Ducks in different tribes may have different color patterns on their feathers, different eating habits, or different skeletons. The 5 kinds of ducks that live in North America are dabbling ducks, diving ducks, perching ducks, sea ducks, and stiff-tailed ducks.
Diving ducks. Diving ducks swim down below the surface to peck at water plants and animals, such as worms and shellfish. These ducks have long, skinny bills with saw-toothed edges that help them grasp their prey. Some diving ducks are called sawbills. Dabbling ducks. Dabbling ducks feed at the surface of the water. You may also see one tipped upside down with its tail in the air. This is called dabbling. The duck reaches down with its long neck to find food on the bottom of shallow lakes and rivers. It sweeps its short, wide bill from side to side, filtering small plants and animals from the water. Dabbling ducks also use their bills to pry food, like barnacles, snails, and mussels off rocks.
A male duck is called a drake. A female is called a duck. Young ducks are called ducklings. Geese. Geese live only in the northern hemisphere. They migrate every year, flying south in the fall and north again in the spring to breed. Most geese stay with their mates for life. Like most waterfowl, geese live in flocks, except during breeding season. Each spring, Canadian geese fly from Mexico and the southern United States to breeding grounds in Canada. They fly in V-shaped formations and often change positions so the leader of the flock doesn't get too tired. Migrating geese often stop to spend the night on an open body of water. Domestic geese are raised for their meat, eggs, and feathers. On farms, geese are fed a special diet that makes them grow quickly. Some farmers keep geese to control weeds. Geese graze on grasses and water plants in the wild.
A male goose is called a gander. A female is called a goose. Young geese are called goslings.
Swans. Like geese, swans have lifelong mates. A female swan builds her grass nest in a marsh or pond during the spring and defends the eggs and young fiercely in the face of any predator. Her mate may help her with some of these duties.
Whistling swan. Swans can make a wide range of noises. Some whistle or give trumpeting calls. Other swans are mute.
Young swans, or cygnets, begin to fly when they are 2 to 4 months old, depending on the kind of swan. When the cygnets are very young, their parents often carry them on their backs. Cygnets may stay with their parents for 2 or 3 years until they find mates. A male swan is called a cob. A female is called a pen.
Mating display. Swans have elaborate mating displays. When a male drives off a rival and wins a mate, he and his mate perform a triumph ceremony.
Duck, duck, goose. See what you have learned about waterfowl by clicking on the ducks below. Start with any duck and click around the circle until you find a question. If you answer the question correctly, the duck will change to a goose. Keep clicking until all the ducks have gone goosey.
A dabbling duck swims underwater to find food.
False. Dabbling ducks often... Ducks, geese, and swans have waterproof feathers.
False.
A group of ducks, geese, or swans is called a clan.
False. Ducks, geese, and swans hang out in flocks. A group of geese that is not in flight is sometimes called a gaggle.
Kingfishers. You might think birds called kingfishers are the kings of fishers. It's true. Some kingfishers are very good fishers. You'll find them perching or flying over streams, rivers, and ponds, looking for fish. When they see something, kingfishers dive head first into the water. They bring their prey up on land before swallowing it head first.
Kinds of kingfishers. Kingfishers live in tropical and temperate places all over the world. Despite their name, not all kingfishers eat fish. Most kingfishers eat all kinds of small animals, including insects, snails, and frogs.
The Eurasian kingfisher is probably the best-known kind of kingfisher. It lives near water throughout Europe, northern Africa, and Asia, to New Guinea and the Solomon Islands. It feeds mainly on fish.
The laughing kookaburra is the largest kingfisher. It lives on the edges of forests in Australia and eats almost anything: large insects, small mammals, reptiles, other birds, and crabs. Can you guess why the laughing kookaburra has its name? When one kookaburra starts laughing, others nearby soon join in.
Unlike most kingfishers, the buff-breasted paradise kingfisher and its relatives have very long tail feathers. They use these feathers to attract mates. Unlike most
Anatomy. Unlike other water birds, kingfishers have small, weak feet that are not fully webbed. Because of this fact, scientists think that kingfishers started fishing only recently.
Kingfishers have long, pointed bills. These bills help them grab fish and reptiles.
Like many other birds, kingfishers have a third eyelid called a nictitating membrane. Unlike the other eyelids, the nictitating membrane is somewhat see-through. Kingfishers use their third eyelids like goggles. The eyelids cover and protect the kingfisher's eyes when they go underwater.
Two of the kingfisher's front toes are partially joined together. This helps kingfishers dig their nests.
This belted kingfisher is named for the stripe of color across its chest. Males have a blue-gray stripe. Female belted kingfishers have both a blue-gray stripe and a brownish-colored stripe. This belted kingfisher is named for the stripe of color across its chest. Males have a blue-gray stripe. Female belted kingfishers have both a blue-gray stripe and a brownish-colored stripe.
Nests. Many kingfishers use their claws and beaks to hollow out nests in termite mounds, tree stumps, and tree trunks. Fishing kingfishers dig holes for their nests in the banks of rivers and lakes. Inside a kingfisher nest, you might find little white eggs, lots of discarded bones, and quite a smell.
Since kingfishers nest in dugout spaces, the eggs don't need to be camouflaged. The white color actually makes the eggs more visible in the dark nest. Kingfishers are famous for not taking out the trash. They let bones, pellets, and waste pile up inside their nests, creating a very strong smell.
Kingfishers sometimes have helper birds. When parents cannot catch enough food to feed their chicks, they let their adult offspring help. When there's enough food, they chase the other birds away from their nest.
Hippopotamuses. The hippopotamus is one of the heaviest animals on land. An adult can weigh 5 tons, 4.5 metric tons. You might think that such a large animal wouldn't move very well in the water, but the hippo is right at home. In fact, the name hippopotamus comes from the Greek words for river horse.
Hippos move easily along the bottom of a riverbed. Hippos live in Africa.
Underwater. Hippos stay underwater all day to keep cool. Their eyes, ears, and nostrils are set high on their heads, letting them see, hear, and smell their surroundings while they're still mostly underwater.
A hippo can close its nostrils and its ears so no water gets in. Hippos can stay entirely underwater for as long as 5 minutes before they must come to the surface for air. On land. Hippos graze only on water plants during the day. They come out of the water at night to eat leaves, fruit, and vegetables, but most of their diet consists of grasses. An adult hippo eats about 88 pounds, 40 kilograms of food a day.
The pygmy hippo is much smaller than the common river hippo. Pygmy hippos spend more of their time on land than their large relatives do. Hippos may look big, slow, and clumsy, but a hippo can run on land as fast as a person can. Sweating blood. A hippo's skin dries out very quickly in the hot African sun, but hippos have built-in protection from the sun. They secrete a kind of homemade sunscreen, a gooey red liquid that blocks the sun's rays. For this reason, people sometimes say that hippos sweat blood.
Enemies. Adult hippos have only one enemy, people. People kill hippos for their hides, which can be made into leather or boiled for soup, and they kill them for their meat, which is rich in protein. People also hunt hippos because they are pests. Hippos can cause great damage to cropland, as much by trampling the crops as by eating them.
Hippos have long lower teeth that look like tusks. They use these teeth to fight other hippos, slashing at opponents to injure them. People sell these teeth as ivory. Young hippos may be attacked by lions, crocodiles, and other large predators. Females guard their young very carefully. In the water, a mother hippo may carry her young on her back. Microscopic life. You cannot see or feel them, but about 10 billion tiny creatures live on your teeth. Tiny living things called microorganisms are all around you. They live in the air, in the water, on your skin, in your mouth, everywhere. Try dragging each of the slides below to the microscope. You may be amazed at what you see.
Aren't you just itching to move on to another topic yet? These bacteria live on your skin.
This dust mite is just one of the many things you breathe in and out every day. Mites and other tiny particles can irritate the lining of people's lungs, causing allergies and asthma.
This one-celled creature is called Paramecium caudatum. Paramecium are covered with tiny hair-like structures called cilia, which they beat back and forth to move through the water. Now here's something that will make you want to brush your teeth. The red rod-shaped things in this picture are bacteria. The yellow surface they're on is a person's tooth.
Protozoans. Some of the biggest and most fascinating microorganisms are called protozoans. A protozoan is a creature that has only one cell. It eats other microorganisms, moves around, and makes more protozoans just like itself. The amoeba is one of the best known protozoans.
Amoebas live in ponds and puddles. They move by stretching out parts of their bodies called pseudopods, or false feet. The pseudopod pushes out in one direction, and the rest of the amoeba's body follows. An amoeba eats by surrounding another microorganism with its false feet. Then, the amoeba absorbs the entire organism into its body. Amoebas make more amoebas by dividing in half. The two halves are called daughter cells.
Bacteria. Bacteria are tiny single-celled creatures that have been around a lot longer than animals or plants. Bacteria live almost everywhere, from the very deepest parts of the ocean to the inside of your body.
A type of bacteria called Escherichia coli, or E. coli, is a normal inhabitant of your intestine. It helps break down food and gets to eat in exchange. Some types of E. coli can make people very sick.
These microorganisms were once thought to be algae, but blue-green algae is actually more closely related to bacteria. Like other microorganisms, blue-green algae can reproduce very fast. Huge groups of blue-green algae form the slimy scum you see on the surface of ponds and lakes.
Viruses. Viruses are tiny things that cannot reproduce on their own. They must use the cells of plants, animals, or bacteria to make more viruses. For this reason, many scientists describe viruses as both living, when they are in their hosts, and non-living, when they are not. Some viruses cause diseases in their hosts. Many viruses use people as their hosts, but only some cause disease. Your body's immune system can kill some of these viruses by itself. Scientists have developed vaccines to help your body kill trickier viruses. Some viruses, however, remain incurable. This is a photo of a herpes virus. It causes cold sores in humans. Once a person gets this virus, it's in his or her body forever.
Essentials. As tiny as they are, microscopic organisms are very important to life on Earth. Bacteria in soil, for example, help recycle nutrients. Can you think of any other important microorganisms? Click on the picture to learn about one group. The protozoa and algae that make up plankton keep almost every creature in the water alive.
Salamanders. Salamanders are often hard to see because they live in cool, shady places like this, hiding under rocks or logs or in caves. Most salamanders have smooth, dark skin that blends in well with their surroundings.
Some salamanders come out only at night when they hunt for food such as worms, insects, frog eggs, and tadpoles. Salamanders have a good sense of smell, which they use to find food. Most use their long, sticky tongues to snap up anything they find.
The life of a salamander. Which animal do you think is more closely related to a salamander? A lizard or a frog? Salamanders look more like lizards, but they're really more like frogs. Like frogs, salamanders are amphibians, animals that live partly in water and partly on land. Click on each salamander to learn about its life cycle. Most salamanders spend part of their lives in the water and part on land. They mate and lay eggs in the water. The eggs hatch into tiny fish-like larvae with gills. Gradually, the larvae grow 4 legs. They also develop lungs while their gills disappear. Some salamanders leave the water to finish their development on land. They are called Fs at this stage. Some salamanders spend their whole life on land. They mate on land, and the female lays her eggs in a rotting log or other cool, moist place. Unlike other kinds of amphibians, the young of these salamanders develop mostly inside the egg. When they hatch, they look like small copies of their parents.
Some salamanders spend their whole life in the water. They don't develop lungs like other salamanders. Instead, they keep their gills even when they're adults. Some grow only 2 legs instead of 4.
Kinds of salamanders. Salamanders live in all parts of the world except Antarctica and Australia. They come in many colors, shapes, and sizes.
Newts have flatter tails than other salamanders. During the breeding season, newts often become brighter in color, like this bright orange mandarin newt. Bright colors warn predators that the skin contains bad-tasting fluids or poisons.
This salamander has a strange name. It's called a hellbender. The hellbender is the largest North American salamander. It may grow as long as 24 inches, 61 centimeters. Hellbenders eat just about any animal around, including fish, worms, insects, snails, crayfish, and other salamanders. Like other giant salamanders, the hellbender spends its whole life in the water. The great crested newt is often called a swimming dragon. That's because the male grows a crest from head to tail during the breeding season.
This eel-like salamander is called a siren. It has small, weak front legs and no hind legs. Sirens live in shallow streams or ponds. They get their name from a Greek myth about sea maidens who sang songs to lure sailors to their death. Other salamanders usually don't make any sounds, but sirens make shrill calls.
This salamander has a strange name. The great crested newt is often called a swimming dragon. That's because the male grows a crest from head to tail during the breeding season.
This eel-like